Welcome to Alasquatch, the show all about Bigfoot in the great state of Alaska. I'm your host, Beans Baxter. So lace up your boots, zip up your coat, and come with me on an adventure as we explore all things cryptid in the last frontier. Hey guys, thanks for listening. This is an audio only episode this week. I'm just going to throw it up on YouTube just with the audio playing. Hope you guys enjoy it. I wanted to get on here and just give a few little facts about this area of land that we're talking about here. For those of you that aren't familiar, we're going to be talking about the Peabody Wildlife Management Area. This is right around the Paradise Fossil Plant in Muhlenberg County, Kentucky. This area is a massive wildlife management area. It's got 41,000 acres. It spans across 3 different counties, Ohio, Hopkins, and Muhlenberg. Those of you that know I grew up in Muhlenberg County. I actually spent a lot of time here in this wildlife management area. I've spent a lot of time hunting and fishing in there. I killed my first turkey in there. And, it's pretty special to me. I need to go back there and check it out. Every time I go home, I'm like, I'm going to go drive through the Peabody and see how it looks, if it's still how I remember. And I always put it off. So maybe next time I go home, maybe I need to get out there and do a little squatching. But anyway, I'm not going to drone on too long. Let's get into it. I'm going to bring Thomas in and he's going to tell us his story. And I hope you guys enjoy it. We get into some other things too, other than his encounter. We talk about some dogman stuff, and just all kinds of different, even a little bit of firearms and weapons. So anyway, guys, hope you enjoy it and let's go. Hey everybody, thanks for listening. I'm here with Thomas. He's retired military, law enforcement, and he's got a cool story to tell us that took place in a little place called Paradise. So for those of you that aren't in the know, there's a gentleman named John Prine, wrote a song called Paradise, and it's about this place we're going to talk about today. Mr. Peabody came in and hauled it away and put in a big power plant there. And I have some very close connections to this place. My dad worked there my entire life and retired from there. And so I'm waiting to hear Thomas's story here, and I can't wait to hear it because I know I'm going to recognize some of these places he's talking about. I've been all over those woods. I killed my first turkey in those woods, and I've spent a lot of time in them. So I am excited to hear what Thomas is going to tell us tonight. What do you got for us, Thomas?
Well, this was happened back in March of 2014. And I was a security officer for TVA. And this was approximately, I would say, about 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm making my patrol rounds. And I was heading toward the Peabody area where I was going to where I turn around. And as I'm coming back, I noticed a lot of deer running across the road, so I hit my takedown lights on my patrol vehicle, and I'm probably driving 10 miles an hour, and I caught eye shine off to my right, and there's like there's a field, and then there's like a creek down there with with trees. So I didn't know what it was, so something just told me to stop. And I stopped, and I saw a figure standing there. I couldn't see its face, but I saw the yellow eye shine. It had to have been at least 9 foot up. And I was on one side of the road. It was on the other side of the road. And about that time we're looking at each other, it took one step out on the edge of the road. I looked at it, it looked at me. It seemed like minutes, but it was probably only seconds. And I turned my head back to get back in my vehicle, and I turned my head back and it was gone. The whole funny thing about this is I was coming back 3 hours later, approximately 9:30 in the morning. I come back and there's two game wardens there at the exact same spot. So I got out and talked to them, and they were actually making a cast of a track. And I told them, which I shouldn't have, that I saw it earlier. So they had me call my supervisor. This TV supervisor comes out. They had a little chat, and I was told, because I signed a non-disclosure agreement, I could not ever talk about it as long as I continue to work there. Now, my question has always been is, how did the game wardens get there so fast?
Yeah, how did they? You didn't tell anybody about it prior to that?
No.
So
my only thing is they had to have had a tracker on it of some sort.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
And were they really game wardens?
Yeah. Was it two game wardens in one truck, or were they both in, like, did they have two different trucks?
It was one truck. They both had shotguns across their backs. And when I approached them, they just gave me this, most of them, they'll acknowledge you and be kind of friendly, but they both were kind of giving me weird looks when I walked up. And after I told them what I saw, they just kind of like looked at each other and said, "You need to get your boss out here."
That's pretty interesting. I was telling you about Will Ulmer earlier from Washington. He's got the Grassman 58 YouTube channel. He's had a couple of kind of strange run-ins with some fishing game guys, where he's out at a location where there's been a lot of activity, and a fishing game guy will show up, and he's got a couple of like Bigfoot stickers on his car and stuff, and they won't straight up ask him about Bigfoot, but they're like, "What are you doing? What's up?" And he was at one location, a lake, where there was a lot of activity, and he was wanting to put his kayak in the water and basically float around and scout the area. And he tells a story about how the game warden was just like, maybe you should go over to this other place and put your kayak in. It's much better over there. And was just basically trying to, wasn't telling him to leave, but was trying to everything he could to get him to go somewhere else.
It's funny you say that. We were using thermal and night vision, and that game warden come up on us. This is in Indiana, saying, "Hey," I said, "what are you doing?" I said, "We're looking at the frogs and seeing anything else." And he said, "Well, you might see a Bigfoot." And we looked at him and said, "Why? Have you seen one?" And his mouth went closed real quick.
Yeah, I haven't really had any interactions like that. I've had a couple when I've been out camping or something. Maybe a fishing game guy would come by, and usually, if you mention Bigfoot, they clam up pretty quick. They don't really offer any information. I had one come up to my campsite last year, and we had a good chat. And he seemed like a good guy, and I actually gave him a copy of my book. But he sure didn't. He wasn't offering any information. That was for sure.
No, they know. I mean, they know exactly what's in those woods.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the logging companies and probably the fishing game guys know as to whether it's like a evil conspiracy. I don't know how I feel about that. I think it's more of a, we don't know what to do with this and we can't really prove it, so we're just gonna shut our mouths and hope nobody notices.
Now, you do know there are, when people talk about kill teams, there are that deal with the rogues.
I don't know. I don't know if I get into all that or not. I've worked in military and law enforcement my whole life. I've worked for the government pretty much my entire adult life, and I never really ran into any real conspiracies. I was pretty high up in my police department when I retired, And, I never had anybody set me down and go, if somebody says they saw a Bigfoot, this is what you tell them, or this is who you call. So, I have a hard time with some of that.
Well, I know I had some friends on a certain installation in Kentucky. I'm not, you know the name, that when I was an MP, they were SF types. And we got to talking, and one of them admitted that, yeah, it is fact.
I wish they would come forward with some good video or DNA evidence. Those guys, they never.
Well, here's the thing. He says, he was telling me, he says, as soon as they drop it, basically the helicopters come in and pretty much the suits come in, and they load it up.
Did he say what they do with them?
No, he goes, we go out there to deal with it, and after they deal with them, we pull the security, or whoever picks it up and flies off with it, and we're done.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird things going on out there.
I learned one thing: you never go in the woods alone. Good way to disappear.
Yeah, well, they call Alaska the land of the missing person. We've got quite a bit of that going on up here.
I think there's numerous reasons up there why it happens. Could be anything.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things up here that can kill you before you even think about Bigfoot or any type of cryptids. It's dangerous enough as it is. So, I mean, you can get locked outside your house and freeze to death.
Well, yeah, it's like running into a brown bear is in a pissed off mood.
Yeah. Did you when you were working security down there at TVA? Did you ever did any of the other guys you worked with talk about seeing anything or?
Well, I used to, you know how the truckers that come down Hall Road.
Oh yeah. I learned to drive on those roads.
Okay. I had one trucker came in, he checked in, and this guy was scared to death. And he said, I heard a howl and a scream that I don't know what the hell it was. He goes, I've never heard no shit like that in my life. So I had the computer. I pulled up some Bigfoot screams. I said, is this what you heard? And his face went white. He goes, that's exactly what I heard. And the person I was working with just kind of looked at me, and I looked at him, and we didn't say anything. He goes, well, what is it? I go, yeah, I don't think you really want to know.
Man, I went turkey hunting out there one year, and I was all camoed up, of course, but I'm standing, behind a tree, and these two other hunters like walked right by. I mean, it's so dense in there, you can't see anything. And I'm standing, I don't know, like 20 yards from them, and they walked right by me just having a conversation, and they never knew I was there. And it's kind of scary when you think like anything could be standing there and you couldn't see it. I even fooled a couple of raccoons. I had a couple of raccoons walk right past me and didn't even see me or scent me. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the best camouflage is just standing still.
Yeah, it's thick in there. It's been growing. What did they strip mined it probably back in like the early 70s, and it's pretty much been untouched since then. And if you look up on Google Maps or something, if you look up Paradise Fossil Plant, it's just forest for miles and miles in every direction, and then the Green River runs right by it. So
right.
There's a lot of opportunity for just about anything to be back in there.
Well, I've had my own share of dog. I've had a few dogman encounters, and they can have those things.
Yeah, where were those at?
mine, two here in Indiana, and one was in Tennessee, LBL last April, and I got ran the hell out of there, out of the Devil's Backbone.
Oh yeah, I've actually got Martin Groves' book sitting right here on my shelf. I met up with him at Monster Fest last year, and
Nice guy.
yeah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
where he was.
he told me, he goes, I'm not surprised. I told him the exact area I was at. He goes, that was close to where I had my encounter.
Yeah, we'll see if I get down there in October. Like I might be planning. I might have to go out there. I've always, every time I've come down there, I thought, oh, maybe I'll go over to LBL and do something. I've always put it off. Maybe this is the year, but I don't know. I think I'd have to have somebody go with me.
No, I hear you. I mean, I drive down there from Indiana, and I would go down there.
Yeah,
I have no.
Did you were you camping when you got run off, or were you just like fishing or something?
No, we were camping at the Colson Hollow campground. And I went with two other guys, and these two other guys, they were, I don't know, they were just carrying small hunting knives, and I had a 357 mag on, and this thing was in the brush. And here's what's weird: it's like I drew and aimed it at the brush, and just told it, you stick your head out, you're gonna die. And this thing went down back in the creek, and you got to understand, this is like a 400 foot drop, almost vertical. This thing went down, it was paralleling us, and then on the left side of us, you started hearing the wood knocking from the Bigfoot. And it was kind of like almost they were escorting us out to keep us from getting killed, is what it seemed like.
The Bigfoot were?
Yeah.
Huh.
Because Bigfoot and Dogman aren't exactly friendly to each other.
Yeah, I've heard that there's a little bit of maybe a rivalry going on or something there, where maybe they're enemies. I could see that.
And where Martin Groves talks about, he says where Bigfoot and Dogman work together. We had a conversation. I said, look, it's like anything else. Who says that the Squatches don't kidnap the puppies and raise them themselves to be like hunting dogs for them?
That's true. Well, the Missouri Monster, they said it had some kind of animal with it. I think they called it a panther or something, but maybe it was a little dog man.
That's what I'm saying. If they can, kidnap one and raise it, to do what it wants it to do, I mean, that's a formidable force right there.
Yeah, that's an interesting theory. I don't think I've ever heard anybody talk about that before.
I mean, the one I saw in Indiana, the full size of it, I mean, this thing looked like the damn werewolf from the movie Van Helsing.
Well, can you tell us about that? What led up to that sighting?
This was in Morgan Monroe State Forest, and I'm sitting at the picnic table, in one of the pavilions that's in there, and the two guys I was with, they were setting up camera equipment, to try to see if we can record something earlier, and I'm seeing yellow eye shine. I'm like, okay, I mean, some animal looking at me. And all of a sudden, I see the yellow eyes keep going up, 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 and I heard bones cracking. And these two guys I was with, they're oblivious to it. And this thing's standing there looking at me. I'm looking at it. I mean, it was a very benign encounter. Then it turned around and just walked off. And it was like you could tell it was bipedal, and you could tell it was heavy as it's walking off. And the two guys I was with, they go, "What did you hear? What is that walking around, out there?" And they're sitting there looking. They're going, "What was that?" And I just told them, "You don't want to know what I just saw." I told them because they were both skeptics. And I told them, I said, you wouldn't believe me if I told you.
What do you think about the theory that these reports of like shaped like Dogman and Bigfoot that disappear? You know, the Bigfoot that have paranormal like powers. Do you think that might be like the trickster, like a coyote spirit that is just taking the form of a Bigfoot, and the actual Bigfoot is just like a undiscovered primate, you know, but they turn into, you know, these tricksters, they turn into coyotes, they turn into wolves and moose
I think
and
you're
bear.
dealing with. I think you're dealing with. I believe Bigfoot and Dogman, they're flesh and blood. There's too many accounts. Like with the Dogman up in the Ojibwe, saying that they call them the wolf people, that they've always been here even before us. And I think Bigfoot is the same way. And I think, you know, when people said, oh, I saw one cloak. No, it didn't cloak. I do believe skinwalkers can do it, can take whatever form that they want.
Yeah, there's the natives up here that believe in the Nantinaq, which is the Bigfoot that is around the Port Chatham area up here. They say that it can change shape. I don't know that I believe that, but that's what they say. There's a couple of stories of the natives themselves actually turning into Bigfoot and or being abducted by the Bigfoot and turning into the Bigfoot, you know, after they were abducted. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I don't know if it's true or not, but you know, it seems like anytime that Bigfoot or Dogman comes up, there's always talks of shape changing and shape shifting and stuff like that, especially in the native legends.
Well, I don't think the natives understood, okay? And this is where I'm looking at it, is they said, oh, they disappeared or, you know, whatever, whatnot. They didn't understand the scientific with the hair, the hollow hair, and the way their hair acts like Camo Plus. And to them, it probably appeared to them that it was disappearing.
Yeah. It's like that saying that magic is just science that we don't understand yet.
I mean, I've seen it myself. I mean, I had one look, I was looking at it, and it turned sideways, and you could kind of see it just kind of like shimmered, like it disappeared.
Yeah.
And it's the way the sunlight, it was the way the sunlight was, I couldn't see it. But I said, I'm going to wait here a minute. And I waited till it moved, and then I saw it again. I'm like, I know exactly what it is. That's when my theory was confirmed with it. I said, this thing knows how to, its hair bends and refracts light. You know, like a polar bear, you know, like you said, like a moose, their hair's hollow.
Yeah, that's one of my theories of how they survive up here in the extreme cold is they have hollow hair like moose, which is very insulating. So it kind of makes sense. And if it's hollow, then that, you know, leans toward your theory as well, that they can reflect the light, and maybe that's how they are able to camouflage themselves so well.
I mean, it's just, you know, I'm just taking a common sense approach to it. I don't try to, you know, read into it too much.
Yeah, I appreciate the common sense approach and the ground. I like doing grounded research, you know, and like I said, I'm not saying that Bigfoot doesn't have superpowers, but I want to see him before I say that he has superpowers. I'm okay with like speculating and having theories, but you know, there's no octopus out there that can, you know, go through portals or anything like that. So
right. I mean, think about this, you know, when they said, you know, they go through portals, okay. Do you realize, I mean, I've told people, and this pisses them off, I says, in order for this thing to go through a porter, it would have to be wearing a nuclear power pack on its back to have to generate that kind of energy to open one up.
Yeah. Where does that energy come from? Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I think a lot of people, they just believe they're like so incensed with their own bullshit.
Yeah. But I guess if everybody had the same theories and same ideas, I guess it would get boring. So.
But I mean, I think that people overthink it.
Yeah, well, Occam's razor, man. The simplest explanation is usually the correct one.
Exactly. I mean, that's what I mean. As law enforcement, you do an investigation. I mean, sometimes the obvious is your answer.
Yeah, it's like with the medical profession too. When they say, if you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras. It's usually, what are you gonna find walking around in the woods? Is it a bear? Is it a moose? Or is it a Bigfoot? I think probably bear and moose are a lot more populous. There's a bigger population of those than there are
Right.
Bigfoot.
And like the whole mind speak thing, I've never had one do it. And I think it's people's subconscious, their minds playing tricks with them.
Yeah, I've never had, I've never had anybody report mind speak to me. Not that I get a ton of reports, but the ones I have had, it's always it's like seeing an animal. It's like I saw the Bigfoot saw me, and then it walked off or it ran off. Very seldom do I have anything more than that, where it's not just like they could have been describing a moose or a bear or a deer or any other type of wild animal. I almost never hear anything like, oh, and then it told me that it was my friend or something like that. It's always
Yeah.
a very animal-like encounter.
I mean, as well as I do, people's minds, play tricks on them.
Yeah. Well, we I'm going to butcher this word, anthropomorphize animals all the time. I mean, I do it with my dogs. I'm like, oh, my dog wants to do this, or my dog wants to do that, or he likes this, or he likes that, or look, he's setting like a human, and
Right.
he's just being a dog.
Yeah.
He's not being a human. And I think we do that with a lot of animals, moose, bear, and Bigfoot as well. I think we, assign our way of thinking and way of doing things to them, and I don't think that's always the correct way to go.
No, yeah, it's not. I mean, see, my thing is I know they exist. It's like I want to understand their behavior. Why do they do what they do?
Yeah, I'm still looking for one. I want to see one, and with my own eyes. I've had a weird thermal thing that I got in Port Chatham, but I want to be able to see it with my own eyes so that I can say, "Oh, it looks
My
like
thing,
a monkey."
I mean, my thing is I want to look one in the face in the daytime. I mean, I've seen them at night, seen the red eye, I've seen all different kind of eye shine in the silhouettes. Like the one in TVA, the sun was at its back. All I saw was the height of it, the mass, and the wild hair and the yellow eyes. And I want to see one. I want to look in its face to see if it has a soul or not.
Yeah, well, people always tell me when I say something like that, they're like, "Oh, be careful what you wish for," and I'm like, people like go skydiving and stuff, right? Like people do all kinds of crazy stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I want to see a Bigfoot.
No, like I was saying, I want a daytime sighting is what I want. I want it to look right dead happy, and I look right dead.
Hmm.
I mean, people think I'm crazy, but it's what I want.
Well, I hope it happens for you, and I hope it happens safely.
Oh yeah, but I got a Mossberg 590 A1 that I carry, and I carry a 45 with 255 grain hard gas plus B rounds. But I'm kind of thinking of the shockwave, like you do, like you
Yeah. Well,
because just
I got the stainless one because I was worried about it rusting, being so close to the salt water. And sometimes I take it
right.
on boats and stuff. So I got the stainless, and I think that was probably a good choice on my part. There's been a couple of times where I've had it out on a boat or something, and I'm like, if I don't wipe this thing down, like with my handguns and stuff, it's going to rust. But since I got the stainless model, I don't have to worry about it as much.
I like Chuk. I like one of Chuk's tests that he did. People carry high capacity, like 10 millimeters and 45. And the charging bear, it's if one comes at you, you're going to be lucky to get more than a couple shots off before it's on you.
Yeah, yeah. People get complacency kills.
Yeah.
You got your weapon, stowed in a backpack or something like that. You just might as well not even have one.
I mean, like Chuk, like carrying a 15-shot pistol. It's like, I like thinking to myself, hey, I saw us charging bear drills. Like, Bud, you're not going to be. Listen, you'd be lucky to get 3 off, if you're lucky.
Yeah. Well, most gunfights only last for, what is it, like 5 seconds,
Three
something like
seconds.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's not much different with animals. Most animal attacks, if you don't get them in the first couple of seconds, then you're just you might not make it out of there.
I mean, that's why I do all my training. I do headshots. I mean, I know a 45 to the head's going to work.
Yeah. Well, you got to be careful with bear because they've got that sloped forehead, and sometimes those rounds will just bounce right off of them.
Well, that's why I use the Underwood flat point, hard cast flat points.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize that a bear, how a bear charges with its head down. And people are standing up and they'll shoot over the bear. Has anyone ever thought drop down to one knee?
I think that kind of goes against your instincts. You don't want to like, one, it takes away your mobility, and two, it takes you down closer to the bear's mouth, which you're trying. So I think that would be a hard thing to train into people.
But you got to admit, it's. I think it would be a sound tactic because you're right. Your pistols, your sights are right dead on the top of its head.
Yeah, well, it would give you a more stable shooting platform, and probably give you a better look at the target. Where you need to shoot. But like I said, it's almost going against your instincts. It's like I'm gonna make it harder for myself to run away, and I'm gonna get closer to this bear's mouth.
You ain't gonna outrun the damn thing. I mean, that's where people understand. Charging bear, you ain't gonna outrun it.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, fire a couple rounds and get off the X, so to speak.
Yeah, I need to get out and shoot with Chuk. We've never actually went shooting together. I'm gonna have to have him take me out, and we're gonna have to try and do some shooting videos. We've never done that before, and maybe this summer we'll get out and do it. A couple of times we get out in the field, we're always going places where you're not allowed to shoot.
I mean, here's the thing: is it's right, right on you. I mean, think of this. I mean, you pop a couple rounds, you can always, from your knee, you can always roll to your left or to your right too.
Yeah. Well, they want you to shoot bear's broadside, but that's up to the bear sometimes, and he doesn't always cooperate.
No, I assume he's not going to cooperate. Just like with humans, they generally don't cooperate.
Yeah. Well, it's can you can you spread your arms out so I can get a better shot at your center mass, please? Yeah.
Believe it or not, I do a lot of my training because I was a CQB instructor also, and I do a lot of my training one-handed because there's a lot of times you may not have time to get in that perfect two-hand stance.
Yeah. Yeah, I just got a new chest pack here. Oh, well, I got it for Christmas. and I was contemplating carrying my handgun in there, my pistol, and I decided not to do it because takes too long to get it out. I got to unzip the pack, reach in, grab it, and I'm just gonna go along and wear it on a holster like I usually do, because I'm just not comfortable having to go through that many motions to get my gun out if I need it.
I like chest rigs personally because they're just fast.
Yeah. Well, this is it's not a chest rig. It's just a pack.
Right.
And it's, I can fit my gun in there, but then it goes in a little pouch and you zip it up and it's in there. So you've got to reach up, unzip it, reach in, get the pistol. I mean, it's a whole thing, whole production to get your gun out. So I'm like, I just want it on my hip, and I can draw and be on target in about a second and a half. But yeah, man,
pretty good.
It's well, I say that I haven't trained in a long time. I might be a tad slower now. But
well, I mean, I'm going to be 57 next month in a few days, and I've slowed down. It's like my hands ain't as quick as they used to be.
I tell everybody I can do everything I could 20 years ago, only slower and with more mistakes.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, anyway, Thomas, I appreciate you coming on and telling us about your encounter, especially there so close to where I grew up there at TVA in Paradise. Like I said, I've spent a lot of hours running around in that place, and there's some thick forest out there.
Oh yeah.
I encourage everyone to check it out on the on Google Maps or something, and just look up TVA Paradise.
What is your channel?
It is Lasquatch. I'll send you a link. And
okay, yeah, shoot me a text and then I can pull it up so I can subscribe to it.
Yeah, I have YouTube, and then I do a podcast as well, but the podcast usually comes out on YouTube as well. So this will come out on both. It'll only be audio, but I'll put it out on YouTube as well, because people love encounters, man. They love to hear this stuff, and honestly, I don't get that many. Up here in Alaska, I get maybe 6 or 7 a year sometimes. And I just had one. I was telling you earlier, I had one the other day, and the guy doesn't want to come on and talk about it. So, I appreciate you telling us about it.
Yeah, stay in touch with me, brother.
Yeah, I sure will. I will send you a link to this, and I will keep you in the loop. And I will talk to all you guys later. I'm going to have a little bit more chat here with Thomas. So thanks everybody for listening. You don't have a podcast or anything you need to promote, do you, Thomas?
No, I do not.
Okay. And thanks for listening to Thomas's story, and I'll catch you later.